Welcome back to the special edition of the Michael Artsis Show in Greenwich, Connecticut at the John Starks Celebrity Golf Classic for the John Starks Foundation. I'm Michael Artsis. You're the Terrifics. You make BeTerrific special. Thanks so much for joining us at BeTerrific on all social media. All right, we've got our next guest, a very special guest. You guys are going to be so excited about this. You know her from the show Home Improvement. She was one of the Tool Time girls. Debbie Dunning is here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you here. First of all, you can tell from the moment you arrived, I was in the parking lot when you arrived, you just like to have fun. You have a lot of fun.
I do. I feel like I've got really good energy, and when you do something like this, it's completely positive. Everybody's in a good mood. You're raising money for a great cause, and we get to golf on an amazing, beautiful course and a beautiful day. So.
Yeah.
It's all win.
I think it's a win across the board, right?
Absolutely.
Because like you said, it's a beautiful day, you get to have some fun, and you're raising money and awareness for a good cause. What could be better?
Yeah.
And John Starks does such a great job. He's been doing this such a long time, and he raises so much money to help these kids, give them scholarships and better their lives.
I will tell you one thing. My daughter just went, her first year in SDSU, and it's not cheap. It's very expensive, but when you have children and you're in that, that first, honeymoon stage and you're having kids, you don't know how much these things cost. And say, for instance, you have this child and you have a lot of other children, you don't have enough money to send them to college. This particular organization, scholarship, is for those children who get amazing grades, who put themselves out there and say, look at me, please let me continue becoming what I want to become. And I just think it's amazing what it's done for these children. I've seen a couple of the girls, and I know there'll be some here tonight. I just know that if I was in that situation and my daughter was stopped right now in her, growing and learning, I would be devastated that I couldn't help her.
And you would do anything you could to do it.
You would do
for
anything
sure.
you can. That's why I'm here, and that's why everybody's here.
I've met many of the students that have been bestowed the benefit of the John Starks Foundation over the years. I've heard them talk. I've heard how it's changed their lives and how amazing it's been, and it's wonderful. And it's great that you're lending your time and your name and participating. It really is. It's a big deal.
Well, it affects me personally because I actually do have somebody in college, and I've got two more coming up that ladder, one in high school and another one in first grade. I really spread them out, but.
Well, you're smart that way.
Well,
way you can recoup a little. You can wait for the syndication to hit a couple more.
Right, or our next new show.
Right, or the next new show. So how'd you find out about the John Starks Foundation? How'd you get involved?
I'm a golfer, and so I've been doing quite a few things with St. Jude's and different other charities, and there's not a lot of women out there that are actresses and professional athletes that do golf, and so I got picked, and they said, would you like to come out? And I said, absolutely, whatever it takes.
I love that, and you're right, because most of these tournaments, I've been to a ton of them, are mostly all men, and I think it's great that you're participating. Yeah. What's your daughter's major?
She is in foods and nutrition right now. Wow. She's going to become a food scientist.
I like that.
And she's going to start to develop foods that are not only healthier, but easier, because a lot of times right now, the concept for, eat quinoa or eat kale, and it's just so general and it's so vast, and it's like one thing hits and everybody does it, but I mean, you can't just live off kale and quinoa. You have to.
It would be nice though.
Well.
Adam and I talk about this all the time, that there's no like fast food for healthy food. And I don't mean fast food in the way we think of like greasy. I mean like just being able to get it quickly. You have to take time. It takes a while. You can't just on the go stop and get a quick something.
Yeah.
And so I think that's wonderful. I think it's going to be an emerging field in the next few years. And I also think that if you look at guys like, I say this all the time, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett are investing heavily in sustainable food, in meat alternatives, because right now it's very hard to sustain what we're doing, and they're looking at it not as, hey, in my mind, hey, let's not be great for the environment and for the world. I'm sure they look at that as well, but I think that their focus is this is going to be a great business in the future. And so I think that's a great area.
I think she has a really good career ahead of her. I think the exposure for the majority of the people is not there, and so if we were given in our schools, which we're starting to incorporate healthier diets, but I think if we were given more of a menu, hey, these are the choices. If you're gonna do this, well, you could do this. You could do a black bean Chipotle burger and it tastes just like a burger. Right. Or you could do, but there's not a lot of inexpensive fast food in the way of a health way.
Right.
And that's the problem right now, because McDonald's is cheap and, you know, Burger King and all this stuff is very inexpensive. But if you had something equal, and it could be quick and run through, and you feel good about putting it into your body.
Well, and you feel better afterwards too.
Yeah.
I would be on that 100%.
Yeah.
It's mostly just sloppy joes in the school, and you don't get the education
Yeah.
with it. It is a great field, and I don't know if you know this. They're 3D printing food. We tried some at Engadget Expan, which is a tech conference last year when we were broadcasting live from there.
Wow.
It's amazing, and it was all the kind of stuff we're talking about, healthier, and it came out of a 3D printer. You literally just put in the recipe. It was super cool.
Incredible.
Yeah, it was
well,
amazing.
I can't wait to see in vending machines the right things, but another thing with health foods is there's not a lot of preservatives, so it has a very small, short
shelf life.
Shelf life, yeah. And that being said, it would certainly be nice to get into that situation where it was like limited, and then the first kids take it, and then they kind of keep a number of how many kids are using it and just keep them supplied, because I mean we're only getting unhealthy by eating all this quick, let's just shove it down. And
very true.
you've been to Vegas? I look at Vegas and I go, these are just troughs, and people just kind of come through and they eat all they want, and
Those
you're like,
buffets,
oh my gosh.
they're amazing. They're amazingly bad, but they're amazing. But Vegas in general, it's excess everything.
Yeah.
I can do like 2 or 3 days at Vegas
It is excess everything.
for a
That is
convention,
true.
and it's like da-da-da-da-da-da, my head's ringing.
Too much, yeah.
It's way too much. What about home improvement? I mean, when you got that show, you must have been over the moon. You must have been so excited.
You know, I wasn't that excited because I thought I was just getting another week, because I came on the first year in production as Kiki von Furstenwallen Scheinlaw. That was my name, and of course I asked for an autograph with my last name included, and I have to spell it out. I worked a week with them on home improvement, and we all fell in love with each other, and then I was gone. And so when Pamela decided in her second year she was going to go to Baywatch, they said, let's get somebody like Debbie Dunning, but they didn't consider bringing me back. Well, they cast for 2 weeks, and finally they called me and said, we want you to come in like you were. Well, my character was like this va-va-voom, sexy black dress, big hair to the moon, and you can see I'm really straight hair, a little lip gloss, and a tiny bit of mascara. I'm pretty natural. And I came back for the audition, and they were so disappointed. I go, I have no idea what happened. They go, they wanted you how you were. They wanted the girl next door. I go, I can do that all day long. They go, well, we'll let you know. I go, I'm coming back tomorrow. She goes, don't come back tomorrow. We'll let you know. I showed up the next day, and I sat there, and I said, I'm doing it. And she goes, okay. So, you know, because I was persistent.
I like that.
And I went in there, and they were shaking their heads. They're like, okay. They excused the whole room of the girls that were also casting, which, you know, I felt pretty good about that. And they sent me over to wardrobe, and they started fitting me. I go, I think it's just for 1 week. She goes, no, this will be a while. I had no idea it was going to be 7 years. It was tremendous. So
Yeah.
It was terrific.
And the funny part is they say the girl next door, they want you to be dolled up, but the girl next door is never dolled up. The girl next door,
what
you're
they
talking
said
about
is
the
they
girl next
wanted
door.
who you were when you were here on the
Right.
show. And what I was on the show, my character was the va-va-voom type.
Right.
But who I was
Is
is just down to earth,
right.
natural.
Right,
and
that's the girl next door.
who knew?
that I think.
Yeah. So I said I could do that all day long. I had no idea. I mean,
I
this took a lot of work.
I love the Wilson bit. I always
Yeah.
reference that.
We miss Earl. We miss
Yeah,
him.
yeah. I imagine you guys were always close as a cast. Everybody.
He and I
right?
were very close, because for my first 2 years on the show, I was brought in as kind of guest starring until I got offered another job, and then they made me a cast member.
Wow.
Thank you, God. But he and I went to all the events together because his wife was in New York and he lived in LA, and so he always took me. And so it seemed like I was at all the parties, but I really was just invited as his guest.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
But after 2 years, 100th episode, they made me a cast member, and everything changed.
I can
I'm so
imagine. Do
blessed.
people recognize you all the time? Do they?
Yeah, pretty much,
And they love the
daily.
show. It's really.
It's a great show to come from, because it's a positive, good, wholesome quality show.
There was always a good lesson too.
Yeah,
there
always,
really was.
Always.
Do you
We
stay-
dealt with cancer. We dealt with Miracle Children, where they'd come in on Wednesday and we'd run a show for them. Make a
Wow.
Wish. We just a ton of stuff, and you know, it opened my eyes to how fortunate we are and how blessed we are. And I know that we are blessed, but every day when they would come into the show, you'd be like, oh my gosh, that is such a horrible card to be dealt as parents. And so it just, you know, I have 3 healthy kids, and I'm extremely blessed, and I feel very good about it. So.
It's amazing. I think you know, you feel for people, and then you have kids and you feel even more, and
Oh,
you
gosh,
can't
yes.
imagine, and you're like,
No.
wow, it's just, I'm so lucky.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's important. That's really
You go
it.
through this world and there's so many selfish selfies and self this and self that. You have children, and I don't know about everybody, but as soon as I had children, I just stopped. It wasn't like for me anymore. Everything was for them, and every day, and you get through the end of the day and you have your glass of wine and you're sitting there going, I did it, I did it, I did it the best I could. And you just kind of pat yourself on the back, and then the next day comes and it's a whole nother day and you don't know what you're getting. But you know, I have my children in college, high school, and first grade. Wow. So I am really spread. My daughter's going through rush week, and tonight she will basically pick her last 2 sororities and find out tomorrow. But she's been crying every single day because she is like me. She's super sensitive. She has to eliminate, or she's being eliminated, or what have you. So it's, you know.
I don't like that whole sorority fraternity thing. I was invited into a fraternity 1,000 times in college, and I just said, look, I'll hang out with you guys. I'm happy to do that. I don't want to join this exclusive club. I don't know why.
So different now. It's so different.
It is.
You have to pay a couple $100s to
Are you
rush.
serious?
And then if you get in, it's a couple $1,000s. And then once you've done it, you have to move to the house. It's a completely different world.
Wow.
And it's so sad. Her biggest thing was, Mom, I feel so bad. There are girls crying all over campus, and it just breaks my heart.
What about if you can't afford that?
Exactly.
Oh, that's awful.
It's another thing about scholarship, you know.
Did you always know you wanted to be an actor?
I did.
Yeah.
Is he yelling at me?
I think so. I think we got to let you
That
go.
was rude,
These guys
but I don't think it was him.
It wasn't?
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
All right. Well, we don't want to hold you up, but I appreciate.
I have no idea what that was.
I appreciate all the time.
Absolutely, it's super nice to meet you.
It's super nice
Thanks
to meet
for
you.
doing this.
Thank you for being on.
Yeah.
So you always knew you wanted to be an actor?
Oh, ever since I was like 4, I said I would be an actress.
How did you go about making that happen?
It's probably not the same as it is now, but I did not know. So when I was in high school, I went out for every contest. I became Miss Burbank when I was in high school. I did bikini contests until I found a commercial agent, and so then I got a commercial, and then I got an acting agent, which my first thing was Under 5 on a soap opera called Santa Barbara, and then I just kept taking little steps. And you know, the more you do, the more you're seen and more recognizable, then you can get an agent. Now I'm super recognizable and nobody will take me.
They should, and that's not true, I'm sure.
No.
What is your favorite memory from Home Improvement?
One of my most favorite memories is Tim and I had this this kind of relationship where we'd scare each other, and we would have, he would come up the hall stairs and he's so deep in conversation looking at the script or looking at his phone, and I would scare him. But there was a time where I had to do my lines, and there was a wall behind me which was going to break open, and as I'm introducing Tool Time, Tim is right behind, and nobody can see him because he's behind this wall. It's actually a piece of paper, but nobody can see him. And he was whispering things to me, and I was trying to do my lines, and I sat there, and the audience doesn't hear it, but I hear it, and I'm sorry. I say, I'm so sorry, and I keep going on, but he won't stop. Anyway, I didn't wet my pants that time, but I did wet my pants once or twice on the show.
Really?
Oh, yeah. We laughed so hard. Wardrobe! That's just being honest and children.
Wow. I love it. That's amazing. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for joining us.
It's been my pleasure.
Where can
you.
people find you? Do you have a site or?
I have Debbie Dunning. I'm on Twitter,
Awesome.
Debbie Dunning, and then I think I have an Instagram that says Debbie Dunning.
Very cool.
Yeah, follow me.
Thanks
I think
for-
it's open. I'm not really good at it.
I'm not either. We try though. We try. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
That's Debbie Dunning. You're the Terrifics. We'll be back with a whole lot more on this special edition of the Michael Artsis Show right after this. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us.